Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video, and I'm really excited to be making this one. I wanted to make it for a while, but back when I originally wanted to make it, I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge to properly make it. As in, I wasn't as familiar with these champions as I needed to be to make this type of video. Now I definitely am. After the Titan change, and I pulled a bunch of 2025 champions and ranked a bunch of them up to rank 4. I've learned them very well. I've played them a lot, and I can accurately rank them now from my personal experience playing most of them. And man, 2025 has been a banger year. So let's go ahead and pull it up. I'll put this to 7 stars. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ranking the first half of 2025, the first 6 months. So that is going to cut off at Maker, High Evo, Cassandra Nova, and Solvark. These 4 will not be ranked today because they are still too new. But the rest of the other 12 champions will be ranked. We will also not be including Cyclops since he was he's an older champion that was buffed. Technically a new release, but he's a little different, so we're not going to be counting him. He doesn't appear here, so we're not going to count him. So that leaves us with 12 champions. That's Dark Phoenix. We are going to be counting her kind of in Cyclops' place. Spider-Woman, Yelena, Bastion, Jean Grey, Zola, Gentle, Luma, Joaquin Torres Falcon, Carolina, Nico, Okoye, those 12 champions. So, all of these champions, man, this year has been incredible. So, this was not the easiest list to compile. Some of them are very close, and it's like, I put this champion here and another champion here, but like, it really could be switched. There's definitely a couple of instances like that. I'll try to call them out when we get to them. But, other than all that said, other than one champion stands out above the rest, and it's not even funny. And that is Falcon. Unfortunately, he is without a shadow of a doubt the worst champion released in the year of 2025. And like, the thing is that all the rest of the champions, we're going to be talking about all 11 other champions, like, they're all really good. So, like, they're all really good, and this guy is just very, very mediocre. So it's really tough for him. It's like, he's not even that bad, but just compared to the rest of the champions, the caliber of champions we've been getting, like, he is that bad, comparatively speaking. Yeah, he is confirmed to be getting rebalanced already, So that alone speaks volumes, because Kabam rarely makes actual balance changes to newly released champions. 90% of the time, no changes made. So for one to be made in 2025, there's your obvious hint that he's not that good. All right, that is Falcon Joaquin Torres coming in at the number 12 spot, the worst champion. All right, who's second to last? Now this one hurts a little bit, but it's Gentle. So, dude, like, I like Gentle. I want to put him higher. He did a phenomenal job for me this Battleground season. He helped me get to Celestial 4, helped me secure that, even at a rank 3 level. And I am heavily considering taking him up to rank 4. I'm thinking about it, man. I like him. I'm learning to use him better on attack now, thanks to your guys' comments on my war video when I was running him. So yeah, that helps. And I've definitely seen an increase in damage. I also gave him the Gambit Relic, which has also really benefited him. There's a lot more crits on the special too. He's a great bullseye counter. He can be a Yelena counter. I definitely don't call him one of the best, but he can do that. He's very good for bullseye though. I will give him that. That's a very exceptional matchup for him. Again, the problem is just that all the other champions we're going to be talking about are really, really good. So it was just really hard to put Gentle any higher on the list. But I do like him, man. Shout out to Gentle. He is great. Like, there is a big gap between the number 12 spot and the number 11 spot, Then 11, 10, 9. It's like all neck and neck. But compared to the 12th spot, massive gap, okay? So, no disrespect to Gentle or any Gentle enjoyers. I think he's great. There's just a lot of talent on this list. All right, so coming in at the number 10 spot, a champion that I think is slightly better, a champion that I slightly put above Gentle, and that is Yelena. For a couple of reasons. The main one is just that she is an extremely meta defender currently that absolutely requires some specific counters. And that's just plain and simple. She's intended to be like, I think, a 5 out of 5 defender. So, you know, it's par for the course. There's been a lot of defensive-based champions released this year. And Yelena, I actually really like her, though. I think she is a pretty perfectly designed defender in the current ecosystem of the game. Like, there's already a lot of counters out in the mutant class that people have ranked up. Onslaught, one of the best counters. Everyone has Onslaught. Everyone has him ranked up. You know, Mr. Sinister. Everyone had the opportunity to get a free 7-star Mr. Sinister, and even if you missed that chance with the raid month, there was another chance to get him. So there's no excuse to not have a 7-star Sinister. Even my free-to-play account like Spiker has a 7-star Mr. Sinister. So, like, those are two extremely common counters and the two best counters to Yelena. So, you know, that helps. Really helps, I think, her land in the game as a defender because we already have counters. Whereas another champion on this list that's higher came out and it's like, who are the counters? Oh, well, they'll probably release one next month, you know. Whereas Yelena, there's already some. And it seems like we are going to be getting new ones, too, with Cassandra Nova, who's not going to be talking about staying on the list, but she seems like one, too. So, Yelena is not terrible on attack. She's like a bit of a slower Bullseye, I would say. Kind of have to ramp her up with some knockdowns. But then once you get into the elimination mode offensively, you get guaranteed crits. Damage is not too bad. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not bad. She's mainly here as a defender, and she is also extremely high prestige. And her signature ability is very warranted on defense. You want it maxed out. So, for all those reasons, that is Yelena landing at the number 10 spot. Also, Thunderbolts was a super lit movie, and Yelena, like, carried that. So honestly, that's another reason why she's here and part of why I ranked her. And I love the way I especially love the night vision goggles. I'm so glad they kept that on for the MCOC release. I don't know why, it just looks awesome to me. Alright guys, coming in at the number 9 spot, the only other champion listed here at rank 3, and that is Lumatrix. So and I absolutely did think about taking Lumatrix up to rank 4. I think Lumatrix is an absolute menace. Absolute Dennis the Menace on defense, bro. Absolutely. I think, but, you know, similar to Yelena, a lot of the mutant counters that counter Yelena also counter Lumatrix, also counter Bullseye, you know, so your Mr. Sinisters, your Onslaughts, and now, you know, Jean Grey as well. Jean Grey just absolutely rinses Lumatrix, and Yelena too. So it's nice that there's counters out, but if you don't have a counter against Lumatrix, man, it is brutal. I remember I almost got cooked so hard by one in Alliance War with Cyclops, but thankfully I brought the Heimdall synergy and somehow saved myself from what would have been this. It was like the sketchiest save ever of avoiding a death. Lumatrix he's such a menace on defense, so that's a big reason why he's here. But opposed to Yelena, this is why he's higher than Yelena, because I think she's definitely overall the better defender, because I mean that's what she's meant to be. But I think Lumatrix is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, a better attacker. You know, his loop, he can also get guaranteed crits. He hits way harder than Yelena, though. He can ramp faster than her, too. So, yeah, he has to be placed higher for those reasons. I don't think I'm going to rank for him, because I personally don't like fighting him. I don't know, that could change. But, yeah, I do think Lumatrix is pretty great. He's coming in at number 9. Alright, guys, so coming in at the number 8 spot. This one was tough. I originally had the champion higher, but then I thought about it. I'm like, wait, no, that champion has to go above. Wait, no, that champion has to go above. So this champion is a little bit lower than I originally would have liked. But again, it's just because the champions above are that good. And so that is Carolina Dean coming in at the number 8 spot. Carolina is one of the few champions that we're talking about today that I do not have. Her and Nico will be in the next Titan, so that's hopefully when I'm going to get them. Carolina, man, seems amazing. She has a really unique playstyle with like trying to stay in the sun, which is pretty neat. She's a great Zola counter. She seems to counter all kinds of tech champs in the tech class. I was gonna say, what the heck is that? And she also seems to be a pretty decent defender as well, with her glancing and other shenanigans. So yeah, Carolina Dean, I know a lot of people really love her, really swear by her. I'm sure in time she could absolutely go higher, but like the champions above her, just I know really well, and like I can't put them below Carolina. I just simply can't, because they're so good. So that is Carolina landing at the number 8 spot. All right. At the number 7 spot, the champion that just barely edged up Carolina, and that is Arnim Zola, who she counters, but that's not what the list is about. Zola, man, he is a big Dennis the Menace as well on defense. He's pretty crazy. But similar to Yelena, like, he does have some counters. I'd say a lot less than her, but more and more counters are being found. But, you know, Deathless Thanos, who a lot of people have and have him ranked up, he just absolutely destroys Zola. Alright guys, sorry about that. Ace was making some noise. I had to go check on him. So everything's all good. But yeah, like I was saying, Thanos, super hard counter to Zola. But other than Thanos specifically, a lot of other champs, you know, there's things that can go wrong. Well, Carolina's pretty solid too. But you know, there's always room for error, and Zola can just get a little crazy. It's very easy to struggle getting the heavy opening unless you have someone like Phoenix or Gladiator that just has like the stun on combo, so you can just weave it into heavy. Without a champion like that, and without a champion that can parry non-contact attacks, he can be very, very, very tricky, man, for sure. And, you know, the great thing about Zola and why he's a little bit higher on the list than Carolina and Lumatrix and Yelena is just because, you know, he's a great defender, but he's also a really sneaky and crazy and wacky attacker that has some really, really unique utility, allowing him to take odd duck matchups like Enchantress, for example. He can just lock her special out of her special 1. She already locks herself out of the special 2. You can just rinse her. It's great. You can totally fight like Onslaught, Mr. Sinister. Like, definitely he takes some skill to play. His playstyle can be a little wacky and funky. But there's even other ways to play. Like, I saw Bureau Man playing him in Battlegrounds, and he would just be like holding heavies, rogue heavies, like, across the map, and they'd be landing because his heavy reach is so ridiculously long. It's really cool, man. Zola has been phenomenal. He's landing at the number 7 spot. All right, but a champion that I had to put above him, because this champion is just so broken defensively. Like, it's not even fair. Like, Zola, I think he's a strong and punishing and scary defender, but I think he's fair. I think he's extremely fair and balanced. The next champion that's on the list and higher than him, Dark Phoenix, is none of those things. I don't think she's balanced. I don't think she's fair. It is just way too much, man. It is insane. You know, I have rank forcing 200 Dark Phoenix, and I have just found it so toxic, for lack of a better word, fighting her in Battlegrounds, that even though I have her at the highest possible rank and level, I just auto ban, because I don't want to deal with her BS. It's just insane how much damage she can do if you don't have like a handful of champions that you can count on literally like one hand. If you don't have one of those 5 champions, like, you're just gonna get destroyed. You're gonna lose so much health. The Nova Flames that she applies when you would die, like, you know, you could play so perfectly and take her down, kill her, put her into her immortality at full health, and then you just get destroyed by that Nova Flame. All your health just gets melted away. Her AI can just be super annoying and crazy too, just throwing special ones when you don't want her to, getting power gain, and just getting out of hand. Man, Dark Phoenix is just... I really genuinely hope she gets a tune down defensively. I think she's just too much. Like, it's worse than Serpent, in my opinion. Like, it is so rough. And, you know, they're adding champs that can counter her. like literally the month after, of course. And I'm sure there's going to be more and more champs, like Voodoo getting the buff from the rebirth. You know, I'm sure he's going to become a great meta counter to her. But even still, man, it's just so much. So her defense, her just being an absolute nightmare on defense is the biggest reason why she's up here. But dude, Dark Phoenix, the redeeming quality about her is her offensive side of things. And I actually I love to play her. She's so much fun for me to play offensively. I just don't want to ever have to fight against her. But offensively, man, she's a blast. And her immortality is so much fun to use offensively, dude. It's like you're playing Nick Fury, but the persistent charge, you know, it's not just a one and done ability. Plus, on your second life, you don't have to degen down to 30%. Like it's like a better Nick Fury. Like it's insane actually. How nutty it is. But it's so much fun. You know, I made a video on Dark Phoenix, and like if something would go wrong in a fight, I would just let them kill me, then heal to full, and then end the fight with full health. It's so much fun, and she's really great for long form content as well, with the special 3 applying permanent Nova Flames. So offensively speaking, I love Dark Phoenix, but defensively speaking, man, I just think overtuned way too much. Hoping, praying for a defensive nerf. It doesn't have to be. I'm not saying to like neuter her, because you know people did pay for her, but like she is not balanced. She is not balanced, and if no changes happen to her, man, like it's gonna be Serpent all over again. So we're gonna see. But that was number 6. She didn't quite crack the top 5, but now it's top 5 time, boys. Getting into the cream of the crop of champions released this year, man. The best of the best. And at the number 5 spot, we have a champion that has been haunting me in my crystals, and that is Okoye. So yeah, Okoye is the one and only champion that I do not have from the current Titan pool, even after opening 4 or 5 Titan Nexus crystals and like 30 regular Titans, 30, 40 of them. I don't even know. I wasn't counting, but it was so many. And no Okoye. So yeah, I have not really gotten a chance to play her because I can't frickin' pull her. But I feel like I can still very accurately rank her because everyone else has her. Everyone else drafted her and used her against me all season long. So yeah, I feel like I can gauge her power level pretty well. And I think she lands in the top 5. You know, there is an argument for her to take the number 4 spot, but I think that champion is more deserving overall. But you know, Okoye is definitely just a pure attacker, which, you know, nothing wrong with that, but there is no dual threat, which I do really like in champs. But she's such a good attacker that it really doesn't matter. She's easily one of the strongest 7-star skill attackers in the game. Debatable to be the strongest. The only contender is Crossbones, and but the thing about Okoye is she can do matchups that Crossbones could never dream of, like Bullseye, for example. That is a great example just of a matchup Okoye can do. She can do so many. Oh, another one is actually Dark Phoenix, the champion we were just talking about. Oh, it's so toxic. Yeah, guess what? Okoye can actually take Dark Phoenix. Like, her matchup spread is wild. It's pretty crazy. She can just do so much. Very, very powerful champion. You know, I would love to get her. I would love to. I have multiple skill awakening gems on hand and waiting. But alas, cannot pull her. But that is Okoye at that number 5 spot. All right, guys, only 4 champions left to talk about. Coming in at that number 4 spot, we have Biggity Bastion. So Bastion above Okoye, yes, absolutely. I think Okoye is phenomenal. I think she has a great matchup spread. But dude, so does Bastion. So does freaking Bastion. Bastion can also take Bullseye. You know, he can take Bullseye no problem. He can take Bullseye on Hazard Shift, Node 43 in War, Incinerate and Shock, even though he has no immunity to Incinerate or to Shock. He is the god of Hazard Shift. Bastion is easily one of the best war champions in the game right now. He is being heavily banned when it comes to Alliance War. He's actually underrated in the top end of the Battlegrounds community in this last season. Not a lot of people running him. I took him to rank 4. I was running him. He was phenomenal, man. He was cooking the super annoying, very meta defenders like Mr. Sinister, a champion that, you cannot reverse his healing in a regen meta. Bastion, completely deal with him. 1 special 2, 1 special 1, cooked. Dominoes, onslaughts, bullseyes, like just dealing with it all. Another really cool thing about Bastion is that he can parry non-contact attacks. So what that allows him to do is fight a champion like Arnim Zola. You can easily parry him and easily go for those heavy knockdowns. It's amazing. He's easily one of the best onslaught counters in the game. And big boost with the Sentinel Relic, which is very nice. And man, like it's just it's his damage is already insane. And then unlike a champion like Galen, where the only way to increase that damage is by ranking them. No, with Bastion, you throw on recoil masteries, you throw on boosts, like any attack modifiers, your damage goes up. Those special ones can get up to just doing so much damage. It is honestly ridiculous, dude. Bastion, he's so crazy. He's so freaking crazy. Him and Zola are both phenomenal. But just Bastion on attack, man, is unreal. The war map fears this dude. Like it's crazy. So that is Bastion landing at our number 4 spot, the 4th best champion released this year. All right, coming in at the number 3 spot, we have a champion that, in my opinion, is a little much, and that is Nico Minoru. So before Nico came out, I started to think that the Mystic class was really bad, and it actually became the worst class for me in my eyes. Skill had been the worst class for so long, but they've been adding so many new skill champions like Yelena, Lumitrix, and Okoye, big one there. So yeah, the skill class has gotten a lot better, but the Mystic class, man, I found it to just be really not doing so hot. And especially because we had so many Mystic champions spammed at the end of 2024, and so many of them were just so focused on Serpent this, Serpent that, Serpent this, where they just feel like, I don't know, like it's good for that matchup, but outside of it, not so much. Other than like Shothra, she was good for a lot of stuff. But I just feel like so many of those Mystic champs just they're so focused on one thing that they were just a 2D champ, not a 3-dimensional champion. And then we get Nico, who's not a 2 or 3-dimensional champ. She's a 4-dimensional champ. She is just insane, bro. Just completely changes the Mystic class. Like the moment she came out, the moment I played her, the moment it happened, I'm like, okay, she's like the best Mystic champ in the game now. Like this is just ridiculous. From like inception playing her. She's got buff immunity, which is what Clairvoyant had and why they had to restrict her from being a 7-star with the whole vote thing, and what ended up being the reason we got 7-star jugs. And the whole thing about Claire, why they didn't want to release her as far as we know, is the buff immunity, because it's so crazy, and because they hadn't released a champion like Serpent yet. I'm sure Serpent was in the pipeline at the time, and they thought, oh well, if we release Claire, she's just going to turn off his death immunity. So maybe that's why they delayed it. But then they released this brand new champ with buff immunity on the special 2, which is what Claire has. But not only that, she has a pre-fight that she can start the fight with buff immunity. So that's crazy. She just, like we're talking about with Dark Phoenix, just such an overtuned champion. And then the next month, oh, Nico comes out. Guess what? She hard counters Dark Phoenix. That's cool. Let's release the most toxic defender ever seen, and then the next month, release a hard counter. Yep, that's the way they do it. So yeah, and then not only does Nico counter Dark Phoenix, she also counters Serpent, who we talked about before, being such a menace, and also Deathless Thanos, who's a newer Cosmic Champ, and who's also just an absolute monster on defense. She applies poison, but against poison immune, she applies what I-Bomb had. Where is that written here? Where is it written? Poison passive? Oh, here we go. Acid burn. So if a cosmic opponent is immune to any of Nico's poison, she inflicts a matching acid burn instead. So, you know, Thanos is immune to poison, but acid burn, not so much. So, like, acid burn is crazy. Like, that was a unique thing to I-Bomb. Buff immunity was a unique thing to Claire, and now Nico just comes in, takes those OP unique abilities, plus so much more. And yeah, this is what we got. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that she is also a ridiculous defender. Like, because that buff immunity, it starts when you fight against her. So if you're using someone, and if you start a fight against Nico and you just dex, you immediately have poison on you because you're immune to that. And again, if you're a Cosmic Champ, you're gonna get acid burn, even if you're immune to poison. So that's cool. That's really cool. She is like, even the 6-star version of her was in plenty of C4 and higher, Celestial 4, top 20 in the world decks. 6-star Nico. I know she was in Zarafa's deck. I know she was in Andy's deck. 2 players I know that made it in the top 20. So like, when a champ is that good, that even as a 6-star, she's making the best of the best decks. I don't know. I think that means the champ might be a teeny tiny bit overtuned. But that is Nico Minoru landing at number 3. I think she really saved the Mystic class. Alright. We only got 2 champions left, man. 2 champions left. The 2 best champions released so far this year. And at number 2, we have Jean Grey. So, man, I really love Jean. I think I'm going to be getting a channel emote made for her. One of the ideas you guys gave was like a mean Jean. So maybe like her going like this, or like a mean face or something. I don't know. But I'm excited to get an emote for her because, dude, she was an instrumental champion for me in my Battlegrounds push. She was pretty much always an auto draft. If I saw her, you know, she's just such a versatile champion, especially for a mode like a Battlegrounds, because first and foremost, she's a great defender for multiple different reasons. So let's get into that. Well, actually, let's not get into that quite yet. What also just makes her like such an auto draft for Battlegrounds, shows she's a great defender for multiple reasons, which I'll get into in a sec. But she's also, you know, a very fast attacker. She's going to be taking pretty much any skill champion extremely well, barring Bullseye. She can do Bullseye. It's not great. It's doable. But like anyone other than Bullseye, she's gonna nuke. Even like Nick Fury, she's gonna do that pretty fast. She's able to get through both those lives pretty quick. So crazy counter to the skill class. Just being awakened, you know, you get that stun passive. And again, so last Battlegrounds meta, it was Obstinate Charge. So you had to reparry. But Jean doesn't have to reparry because she's just already applying the passive stun, not a stun debuff. Like, that is just so powerful. It's crazy. She counters Lumatrix extremely well. She absolutely destroys Atuma. Like, it's awesome. She was just so good, man. And if I didn't use her on offense, I would probably put her on defense. So let's get into what makes her such a menace on defense. So there's multiple different things. The first thing is the force field. So the force field is just going to mitigate a lot of damage. It's going to draw out the fight. So that's one thing. So that makes her a bit of a stall defender, okay? She also applies a lot of debuffs to the opponents. She applies exhaustion. So these exhaustions can very easily and very quickly stack up when you're fighting her. Now that paired with the Inequity Mastery is going to lower the opponent's attack. So the shield paired with the Inequity that's really drawing out fights. So there's that. So the fight, it gets longer and more drawn out. That is then paired with her force field, you know, when it breaks, and every time she throws a special, so when it breaks, it's guaranteed you're going to get inverted controls. And then every time she throws a special, it's like a 50% chance after the first hit that you'll get inverted controls. So there's the stall factor twofold with force field and Inequity debuffs. Then there's also a skill ask, and you know, if you mess that up, you're gonna take damage. And if it happens at the wrong time, you're gonna take a lot of damage. Like if you mess up the special, you accidentally like dash in or something, and you go inverted. If you take a special to the face, man, you're cooked. Like you're done for. So all those reasons combined just make Jean such an insane dual threat all around her. She's just such a phenomenal champion, dude. Easily one of the best mutants in the game. The only mutants above her is Onslaught without a doubt, and then like Sinister. And Sinister and her, man, like they're, I don't know, they're kind of neck and neck. So Jean can also totally do Yelena as well. That's a really good matchup for her because she has the Daunted. So yeah, dude, like Jean Grey, just an absolute phenomenal champion. Really glad to have her in game. You know, we've always had Phoenix, but I always wanted like a mutant version of Jean Grey, and they cooked so hard with this one, dude. So yeah, Jean landing as the number 2, the second best champion release so far, 2025. And that leaves us with only one champion remaining. And it's, of course, Spider-Woman, dude. Spider-Woman. She is so freaking good, man. So many people, when I even made my top 5 science video, I put her at number 1. Put her, you know, in the highest tier on the tier list. I did this months ago because I've known for a while she's very good. And all those decisions have aged like fine wine because my opinion of Spider-Woman has literally only gotten higher. I think more highly of her now than ever before. And again, this last Battlegrounds meta season really opened my eyes to her power, especially as a defender. Like, it is bonkers how strong and powerful of a defender Spider-Woman can be, especially in the right circumstance, even when the opponent has a counter. Like, I remember early on in the season, I was putting her on defense all the time, and people were bringing in Crossbones, one of the best counters, and they were dying with Crossbones. They weren't even finishing the fight. Spider-Woman was killing them. Like, dude, she is an absolute monster on defense, and on the right nodes, without a counter, you are good luck, man. Good luck. She also can have, like, an Enchantress and Dark Phoenix kind of elements where she can just throw that special one sometimes, and if she throws it into your block, it can hurt. She can apply those severe debuffs to you through the block. And so similarly to Jean, she also applies a lot of debuffs. So that, again, paired with Inequity, it's just going to be slowing fights down, stall-wise. And then whereas Jean, you know, she has her reverse controls as a big threat, Spider-Woman has her evade as her big threat. And, you know, the more debuffs that are on you, the higher her chance to evade. So it can get very scary. And then also, Spider-Woman has basically a domino effect thrown into her kit with her Ensnare ability that is just going to start failing your abilities. So, like, you go to, again, an example in this Battlegrounds meta, you know, you go for the reparry. So, you know, she's stunning me on the first hit, then you go for the reparry, you nail the reparry, and you instinctively go for a heavy to knock them down. But guess what? Her Ensnare failed your parry stun. Now you're getting smacked in the face. Like, that can so easily happen at the drop of a hat. She can just start failing your abilities in ways you wouldn't even expect. And trust me, I know this because I got wrecked by her so many times. Me and Zarafa did so many friendlies, and he put Spider-Woman down so many times early on, and I got destroyed by her. Like, I would fight her with the exact same champion. One time, it would go great. The other time, I would die. Like, it was crazy. So, like, Spider-Woman, probably, like, the most underrated defender in the game right now currently, or was. Maybe not so much now after the Battlegrounds meta has shined some light on her defensive capability. But, like, the funny thing is that, like, she's, I think, like, a 3 out of 5 defender or something, and High Evolutionary is, like, a 5 out of 5 defender or something, and she seems to be a much trickier defender than him. So, yeah, very interesting. Like, I don't think Spider-Woman was built to be a defender, but she ended up being a much more potent defender than I think Kabam anticipated, and I think than I anticipated. I think a lot of people anticipated. Like, the reason I was ranking her early on was because she's such a monster on attack. You know, I think she's absolutely a more modern, better version of Spider-Ham without a doubt. Way more utility. Having immunity to neutralize is really powerful. Poison immunity is phenomenal. You know, her damage output is definitely comparable to Ham on the power stings. They both can do a lot. It's great. But Spider-Woman just hits so much harder with her regular combos. That's a full another extra damage source. She just hits ridiculously hard, man. She stacks up those Furies, especially if you can get her Sig high. Like, it's awesome, man. It's really awesome. She's great for fighting champions that evade or have unstoppable or miss. Great for all those types of champions. With her ensnare, she can totally counter evade. And then she can get her own evade buff when the opponent misses or is unstoppable. So like she can counter gentle. She has a great gentle counter. Just, man, Spider-Woman, they cooked so hard on her. And, you know, like when Spider-Woman first got announced, I had one hope. I was like, please, let her be better than Silk. That's all I wanted. And I didn't think it was going to happen, but here we are. And yeah, that's Spider-Woman, the best champion released all year in 2025, without a doubt in my mind, dude. She is that good. Yeah, Spider-Woman, man, she is number freaking one. All right, let's talk about some of these other champions real quick. Solvark, he seems cool, but very new to us, so I'm not too sure. Maker, he seems like a bit of a dud. A lot of utility, little lacking on the damage, but the pre-fights, you can't discount those pre-fights, so that definitely gives him some use. High Evolutionary seems to be like the biggest flop of the year so far. People were so hyped for him that he came out, and then everyone says he sucks. So I don't know right now. I think it's still too early. And then we have Cassandra Nova. I think Cassandra I think she will break into the top 5 for sure. Potential to go higher. Potential for sure. She has a lot of potential. I'm very curious. She could maybe even dethrone Spider-Woman, bro. Who knows? Who freaking knows? But she definitely has potential. I'm excited to see where she lands. But alright, guys. There will be another one of these videos, like probably at the end of the year, where we rank the rest of the champions, and then maybe we rank all of them together or something. We'll have to see. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. Drop your boy a big old thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. Peace.